20th to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda of the January 20, 2014 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the consent agenda items.
Ms. Reesinger?
Yes.
On the consent agenda, the gift program, I just wanted to call out that we moved that to one certified faculty member last year. And Ms. I keep on saying this back. Ms. Cook does that now, and she teaches all of our gifted students across 10 grades 3 through 12. And I wanted to commend her on that and thank her for that. I noticed that our numbers are down. I think we've talked about it. And the number of kids who qualify and the number of kids who enroll. I'm just hoping we can increase that as we go forward. And I also noticed, I brought this to Ms. Joker's attention, and I think Ms. Cook has brought it up also, that she teaches across 2 classrooms here on this campus and 1 on Bloomsdale. And I'm hoping maybe we can get her into 1 classroom in the next year. So, but I wanted to thank her for that because I know that that's a lot. That's what
Yes.
I agree. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We thank you too.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public participation. We'll move right on to the report of the superintendent, Mr. Joker.
I note that in your packet you have several notes of appreciation, but also on your table you have several notes of appreciation. It's I always appreciate that many of our staff, when we give Christmas gifts, do take the time to say thank you, and not all of them will send a note, but most of them, there's lots of them that will stop me in the hall and say, boy, we really appreciate that, and thank you all for the gift, and you know, so I want you to know that although you have some thank yous here, I hear a lot of them from the staff, just out and about, and they do appreciate the work you do, they appreciate the gift that you give, and they know that that's not something every district does, and so it's another reason why it's really nice to work here, you know. So I wanted to add that. We do have school board elections on April the 8th, and filing ends January 21st at 5 o'clock. Speaking of appreciating the board, the week of January 26th through February 1st is Missouri School Board Recognition Week, and we will be having some further information in the paper about our board members and the work that they do. But I would just like to take this opportunity to say publicly, thank you all. I want to make sure everybody knows that there is no pay for being on the school board. Nothing. There is a Christmas gift and our undying gratitude, but that's about it. And oftentimes it's a job that is thankless, and sometimes it's a job that's contentious, and you're not always the most popular person in town, and sometimes you get phone calls that take you away from your family, and I surely do appreciate all that you do and the way that you have guided our school over the last years. I do have certificates from MSBA for each one of you, and I'd like to hand those to you now and join our thanks to theirs. Mr. Rick Rudloff.
Thank you.
Mr. Eric Bosler. Mr. David Bova. Mr. Charles Crowther. Ms. Joan Gunsey. Mr. Terry McDaniel. And Ms. Martha Reesing. And as I said, you will see in the paper that we will have an article related to that, and you know, it's picture night, so you have to do that. But we do really appreciate all the work you do, the time you spend. While open session frequently lasts an hour or less, I don't want anyone to think that that's all the time that it takes in a month to be a board member. They get their board packets early, they read them completely. They frequently spend time talking with me about things that weren't clear in the board packet. I'll learn, I'll get better, I promise. But not only that, then of course we have personnel matters that go into closed session and sometimes keep us a long time. And so I do appreciate the time and effort you all give. You're excellent board members, and this district's very fortunate to have you. So thank you very much. Moving on, anybody else want to chime in on that? Moving on to kindergarten registration. We do have that coming up from on St. John Elementary on April the 12th and Bloomsdale Elementary April the 26th. We're not quite up to asking you to call and make appointments just yet, but we do want you to put it on your calendar so that when you get the information that it is time to make the appointment, that you get that done. It's very, very important for us, helps us with our count for kindergarten registration. We did have a makeup day today. Everybody was in session. I checked attendance in all the buildings, and because sometimes when you have a day that's not normally scheduled, it can be a problem. But we didn't really see any huge change. We did have a lot of kids out sick, throwing up, and so there's flu apparently in our midst or something akin to that, and so we did have a lot of kids out sick, but it wasn't significantly different from our normal attendance today, so I was glad about that. We will, of course, be talking next month about the calendar, and in March about finalizing makeup days, and so we'll keep that in mind when you look at the calendar later, but today was at least one that we can mark off. I wanted to call your attention, speaking of makeup days, to a lot of folks were asking how many days we'd have to make up and all that kind of stuff. The State Department has a nice handy dandy little chart, because their rule is that you must make up the first 6 days, and then you have to make up half of the days after that up to 10. And so they give you a little chart, and I did post that on your Moodle, and I've sent that out to the administrators, and I think a lot of them have shared it with their staff. So everybody's kind of aware. The max that we would have to make up is 10. So there is a limit. It's not going to go on and on and on and on. And feel pretty good that we can get that done before June. Okay, even if we have more days in February, I think we can all feel pretty comfortable that we won't be going into June. Will we be going up to or after Memorial Day? Maybe. That remains to be seen with February's weather. I mean, you just really don't know. At this point, they're calling for 1 to 2 inches again tonight, so in some places. So it's hard to say. But we do have, at this point, we have to make up 8 days. So
Counting today, or?
Now, counting today, it's 7. So we marked off 1, so that's good. I mean, 7 more after today. All right. So that's good. It helps everybody feel like we're not going to be at this forever. So.
Actually, I did have some of them ask if it would be Thursday and Tuesday. Is that the next 2?
I told the staff to really assume that it wasn't in stone yet until you all make that determination, but that would probably be my recommendation, and especially if we would get no more snow.
Right.
Because what that would allow us to do is finish the Friday before Memorial Day. And I think that's advantageous if we can. Now, if we get a whole bunch more snow, I can't say, you know. If it's so much that you know, it would just be easier to do it at the end, then we'll see about that. But what I hope to do before we make a final recommendation as we get through to the end of February is to poll the staff a little bit and give them some input as we've talked about in the past. We use SurveyMonkey, and it takes no time at all, and it allows them to have some voice in how we recommend makeup days. And so once we get a little closer to knowing what that's going to look like and our final number, if it's 8 or 9 or 10, then we'll try to make sure they have some input into that and present something to you in March. At this time, our new item on the agenda is our principal reports. And I've asked the principals to kind of give some highlights of things that have happened in their buildings in the last month. And so, did you all draw straws, or am I just going to pick? They're pointing at Chris, so they threw you to the wolves, bud.
It doesn't pay me the minority sometimes.
Right.
All right, for the high school, these are things that really go back to December, but some of these were very pertinent. I want to make sure that you were aware. Coach Dennis Drum received the Peggy Johnson Award at the December 14th Missouri High School Volleyball Coaches Association. At the MTCCA, Missouri Track and Cross Country Association, this is one that's really impressive if you haven't heard it. Brian Jett was voted the Class 3 Track Coach of the Year for 2013, voted the Class 3 Cross Country Coach of the Year for this past season, and the girls team this past spring was given an award as the True Team Champions in Class 3. This would be the girls track team. This award is issued to the team that scored the most points in districts, sectionals, and state added together. And that's just phenomenal. Coach Jett is a class act all the way around. Taylor Werner earned a 5th place finish at the Nike National in Portland, Oregon, earning her All-American honors. She also was named candidate for Gatorade Missouri Girls Cross Country Runner of the Year, which we'll talk about here in a second. She earned All-American honors for a 2nd time this fall by finishing 10th at the Foot Locker National Cross Country Meet in San Diego. Jumping to football for a moment. Athletes named to the Media All-Region Class 3 football team for offense first team were Brendan Dallas, Luke Himmerla, and Derek James. Offense second team, Anthony Rowe, Clayton Nagger, Kellen Stiegel, and Clayton Nagger's kicker. He was both kicker and wide receiver. Defensive team, Devin Brown and Anthony Rowe, and defensive second team, Zach Jamerson. Athletes that were named to the SEMO Football Coaches Association All-Region Class 3 football team. Offensive team again, Brendan Dallas, Luke Himmerla, Derek James, and Brendan Dallas got the Offensive MVP award at that. Offense second team was Matt Drury, Anthony Rowe, Clayton Nagger, Kellen Stiegel, Clayton Nagger again, both taking on both awards again. Defensive first team, Zach Jamerson, Devin Brown, Matt Drury, and defense second team, Anthony Rowe. The football players that goes on that were named to the Missouri Football Association's postseason football teams are as follows. First team All-District, Brendan Dallas, Luke Himmerla, Derek James, Devin Brown. Second team All-District, Matt Drury, Anthony Rowe, Clayton Nagger. All-State for football. Second team, Brendan Dallas, and third team, Luke Himmerla. And Brendan was also selected by the media as second team All-State running back. The St. Genevieve football program was awarded the 2013 School Sportsmanship Award by the SEMO Football Association, Officials Association. And that again is another huge one because I know they've talked about it in meeting before, but I want to reiterate, that's across the board. I mean, you get judged from basically the moment they arrive on campus to the moment they leave campus on everything we do and how we represent the district. And that was one that I was really proud to see basically the entire team bring home. As many of you are aware, part of what we do, Mrs. Bader and Mrs. Doyle work tirelessly and combined with the NHS and Stuco to hold the Senior Citizens Christmas Dinner. That was on December 12th with performances by the SGHS Jazz Band and Concert Choir. Getting back to Miss Taylor Warner, earned Missouri Gatorade Girls Cross Country Runner of the Year, and this was for the 2nd season. Additionally, Taylor was the only prep girl in the country to earn top 10 finishes in both national championship races. And Giselle Kirkhoff was selected to the Missouri All-State Band, and I believe that's the first one of those we've had in quite some time. The number I heard being tossed around was 15 years, but I wasn't able to actually get my finger on that. Taylor Hasty was elected as an FCCLA state officer, and Daniel Ditch was elected as the regional FCCLA president.
And the following fall sports teams earned Mesha Scholastic Achievements Awards. 10 out of our 12 fall teams earned these awards. The Distinguished Achievement Award, which is a team GPA between 3 and 3.24, was our varsity football, which to me that's just phenomenal. That many young boys on a team and to be able to earn that kind of GPA is just fantastic. And then our Outstanding Achievement Award, team GPA between 3.25 and 4, the Emeralds Dance, JV softball, cheerleading, varsity softball, freshman volleyball, boys cross country, JV volleyball, varsity volleyball, and our girls cross country team brought home a perfect 4.0, taking the award. And that's pretty much so for the past month, our awards and achievements at the high school.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Chris, and I particularly want to commend those coaches and athletes on the Scholastic Award. Man, that just makes me proud. They perform well on the floor, on the court, on the field, and in the classroom, and that's awesome.
And as citizens, they're just great kids to have
They
in
are,
our building.
they are. It's very true. All right, I guess we'll go by age in the building. Age of students in the building.
That would be me.
That's right.
In the middle school during the month of December, we held a QSP Extreme Science Reward Show. Students had to sell one item and then they got to go to the show. It was kind of an incentive. So if they didn't sell, they had to stick with me and work on their math homework, which they hated. But we did hold that on Monday, December 2nd.
Doesn't knock on math?
No, they just love to do math homework. Not really. We did hold the 8th grade portion of science fair. We have 2 portions. All 7th graders do science fair, and that one is held at the beginning of November. And then 8th graders can do it if they want to. And for the 8th grade science fair, first place went to Madeline Helms and Allie Grass for the memory of him versus her. Second place, What's This Biz? Camden Rowe and Damian Kiefer. And third place, What's Up Doc? Madison Rainey and Caitlin Kreitler. These 8th graders and the 7th graders that won in their divisions will go to the SEMO Science Fair sometime this spring and compete. And as I told you, I don't remember if it was November or October, the middle school was awarded a donation from the Loves Corporation. I did not get to go because my son had his ACL surgery, and that was the day after, so I was trying to bring him home. So Paul went on Wednesday, December 4th, and accepted the check. He took 3 students, Gabe Grimminger, Brooke Weiler, and Jacob Pardo, and 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, and accepted the check. And they sent me some nice pictures, and we wrote them a thank you and sent them a thank you card. Would like to thank Mrs. Staffen, Mrs. Tucker, Ms. Johnston, and Mrs. Miller. In the middle school and high school, we always do a Christmas luncheon for our staff, and we rearrange our lunch times in the middle school and high school and give them a little bit extra time. And those 4 ladies take care of organizing that and making it happen here in the library, and it is wonderful. It's one thing I know that I really look forward to doing every year. NJHS members and their sponsors, Mrs. Rowland and Mrs. Sharon Fowler, held a Santagram fundraiser. It was just a real quick, you could write a note, send it to your friend on a candygram, make them feel, or a candy cane to make them feel good. So they held one of those. Congratulations to Mrs. Otto, Mr. Otto, middle school drama and middle school design. They held their Christmas skits. There was like 3 skits, I think, and they were really cute. On Friday, December 13th, they did it for Bloomsdale and St. John Elementary, and I think the kids really appreciated it and had a good time. And then they had their public viewing on Wednesday, December 18th, and it was very enjoyable. And then congratulations to Mrs. Jokers in the middle school choir programs. They did a vocal concert on Sunday, December 15th. Outstanding job. Congratulations to Mrs. Elders in the middle school band programs. We did their winter concert on December 19th. And at the concert, they announced we will be holding a Lucas Welton Memorial Scholarship Fund and funding for a student to go to the Jefferson College Band Camp during the summer. So we announced that. And then my last one is congratulations to Coach Dalton, Coach Ritter, and our middle school wrestling program. We didn't have a whole lot of meets, but they were excited. They did a good job with what they did have. So That's all I have.
They had a lot of challenging weather
Yes.
to deal with, and just couldn't quite get that all, make it, all the makeup days fit in, so that's very difficult. One other thing I want you all to be aware of, Miss Fleeg is about to finish her dissertation, and she defends her dissertation, next, at the end of the month here. And so she will be Dr. Fleeg before we know it, and I'm very, very proud of her. I've been on her committee as she's worked through her dissertation, and so I'm excited for her. I just wanted you to be aware that she's doing that. So anyway, Peg,
I'm ready.
You ready?
to go.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to fill you in on some things that we do sort of every month, just to let you know about staff and student recognitions. Every month we have students of the month from each classroom, and they have lunch with Jerry and I. It's a wonderful honor for us to be able to be there with them, and they're all very excited. Another thing we do is a weekly brag and dragon board, and each teacher sends down something to display on the board, and the kids will stop at the board and say, I saw one little guy walk by and go, oh, my work is I'm on the dragon bragging board this week. It's a really big deal for them to get to see their work up and displayed out in the hallway. So that changes every week. Another thing we've started this year, we celebrate everybody's birthday. So on birthdays, they're announced over the intercom, and they come down to the office and they get to pick out a book. And we have a bookshelf with just dozens and dozens of books. So they get to pick out a book for their birthday, and we celebrate that way. So just some things to make them happy to be there. We celebrate staff birthdays too. Although they don't get a book, they get a scratch-off ticket. But anyway. And they're real happy with that too. They're good sports. We had the Hagerman Magic Show in also as a reward for kids for fundraisers. And fundraisers are those things that nobody likes, but they're just a part of life and we have to do. So they got rewards for selling. All they had to sell was one item, and they got a reward and got to go to a show. We also participated, a lot of our faculty and staff in St. John Elementary, very giving group. We celebrated in the Backpack for Kids program, and there's a Bountiful Baskets program that one of the teachers started. They collect baskets full of household items and donate them out. So the staff has been wonderful about that. And our big one has been Backpacks for Fridays. And that program, we kicked it off Monday because Friday we were out because of snow. So that week they got two, but we kicked it off Monday and then we sent them home again on Friday. And we had some darling little responses from some of the kids about how excited they were about it and how wonderful it was. And they were very heavy. The first Mondays were 14 pounds, and that's heavy. And Fridays were 13. So I have a feeling we're going to run within that area for those. So it was a challenge to get them all on the bus or out to the car, so we had a lot of helpers and everybody kicked in with that. As teachers, we met several times. We have a leadership team, and we met in December to talk about our staff climate survey that came out, and we needed to look at it and address it. We looked at the new student-teacher placements so that they'll understand what teachers, when they come to us, what their requirements are and how long they'll be there. And our MRI trainer brought it to us, and it's great practices. We started unwrapping the new Common Core. So all grade levels are now working on that. And we've had a faculty meeting on which we took the things that we worked on at the leadership team then to the faculty meeting and then shared it out from there. And we were very lucky that we were able to, Bloomsdale and I, when we have MRI trainings now, we share those. So our 5th graders will get together, our 4th grade teachers get together, so we share those trainings, and we have both buildings working on those same things at the same time. So we're real happy about that. And some good news that came out last week, we had asked Wholesome to provide, we gave them a funding opportunity help us with some risers for our elementary music program, and they came through. So in about a week or two, we should be getting our check and having those installed. So it's been a great week.
You can't imagine the issue that risers are. So, I'm just saying.
I didn't know.
We are tickled to have that set of risers.
Amen.
Yes. So, we had some old rickety, crummy risers that had seen the last leg, and so before anybody falls off with those, we are delighted to get some new ones. So thank you, Peggy, and all of those for getting that funding opportunity. So, anyway, and Ms. Zusman, you ready?
Yes. I'm Lori Zusman, Bloomsdale Elementary Principal. We do a teacher and staff of the month with PTO, and the teachers fill out cards on each other, like something positive that they do for each other. And Miss Nelson and Ann Falk were teacher and staff of the month. And they get a special parking space and a gift card for Walmart from PTO. PTO did a Santa shop, and it's where the kids get to go in and they get to buy gifts for other people in the family. And they're cheap gifts, but they're really cute, like they say, I love Dad, I love Mom. And they're little pins, and they can't buy anything for themselves. They have a list of people in their family that they buy gifts for. And that was a big success. It's not a big money maker for PTO, it's just something that's fun for the kids. On December 3rd, we had Lyceum Character Education Program. They are children's authors, and they sing, and they have a character program that says do your best in school and always have fun in life, and they were musical, and it was for K2, and they loved it. They were all dancing in the gym. We did a shelter-in-place drill. And every time we do a shelter-in-place drill, we kind of set up different scenarios, and we learn something every time we do a drill. So, we make notes, and we talk about those at the next faculty meeting about what we do different. We had a Christmas program on December 16th, and we have to give Mr. Pingree kudos because he only got a couple days to practice, because that was when we had all those snow days. And he said, let's go ahead and do it, and it was wonderful. The kids memorized all their lines, and both programs were packed. The gym was packed. We had a soda tab collection for the Ronald McDonald House. They have a place for parents who have sick kids in the hospital. They have a place for them to stay, and they provide meals. And we collected 231 pounds of soda tabs. We said to the kids, that's like 5 kindergarten kids. 231 pounds. so they can see, wow, that's a lot. We had Christmas parties on December 20th, and we had probably 45 parents in attendance. They brought all kinds of treats and games, and everyone had a good time. It's not on here, but I did want to say something about the backpack program. We did a fundraiser, and Ms. Huffman, the counselor, she talked to all the classes about what the backpack program was, and a lot of kids were like, oh, I hope I get a backpack. They were all excited about it. They wanted the backpack. And then we earned enough money to buy 3 backpacks for our building. And then when I took it to the teachers' meeting, the next morning I had an anonymous envelope, $320 in my mailbox from a teacher. So that just shows how good our teachers are out of Bloomsdale. So, and then the kids have been so excited about the backpacks. They've talked about how good the meals are. And then we had one family that only got to take home 1 backpack, but we knew extended family lived with them. So we happened to have a family move away in the middle of the week, so we gave them a second backpack. And the little boy just hugged Miss Huffman and was so excited to get a second backpack. So that's been a good program.
The first 2 backpack packing adventures have been administrators, so I want you to know that these folks have been the brawn that has, because it takes a little brawn to get those things in there, and so they've kind of done that hands-on thing so that when they are talking to people about volunteering to do it, they know exactly what it is they're talking about. And so we've had a good 2 times with that, but now Mr. Haney is working with his high school organizations to see about getting some of those kids involved. And the very first one is our STARS program. And Mr. Haney, would you like to kind of tell what they're what their plan is, how they're gonna work that?
They're gonna go.
They're gonna go during the school.
Yeah, they're gonna go from, because they do, as part of that curriculum, they do community service, that sort of thing. I believe you saw in the paper about a month or so ago where they did the raking leaves and assisted that. They're gonna go between 2 and 3 and pack in. They were the first ones to sign up. I mean, it was really neat that really before I even left the room, Mr. Kyle was there going, my kids will be in on this, we love this kind of thing, and they're gonna go out there and they'll do that. And I would honestly believe that really any holes we might have along the way, I think most of our clubs are gonna sign up and fill it out, but Stars will be right there to do it. They've just, the community service and that part that I've seen them instill in the young men and women in that program, at least work to instill in them, it's just been phenomenal. That's such a huge key component to what they do in there, and it's just impressed me, and this is just one more example of it.
Yeah, I was tickled that they jumped on
I mean, like
right away,
that,
because
yeah.
I called Chris and said, hey, do I need to round up some volunteers for Thursday so that we can get this ready to roll? And he's like, nope, we got it all taken care of, Stars kids are gonna go do it, and so, yeah, I'm very, very pleased about that. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
This person that you mentioned, and I know this will be something that we've talked about before. I'd also like to thank Nancy Toombs, because aside from the millions of great things she does for us day in and day out, she recently combined all of our calendars, our district calendar, our building use calendar, all of that onto Google Apps. And from the outside world, it's not going to mean a whole lot, because you're still going to be able to go to the website and see what you want to see. But man, in our world, it is so much an opportunity to work smarter, not harder, because now I can be in one calendar, and if I need to amend a high school event, if I need to amend a building use event, I can do it all right there. I don't have to log into this calendar or that calendar or worry about, and every day when I come into my office and pull up my calendar, I'm seeing all those other events appear on my calendar, so it gives me a better intuition as far as, is everything right? Are we on scale, or does something need to change? Because I see it. I'm seeing it every day, rather than needing to go to this calendar for sports and this calendar for building and my calendar and looking all over. It's all in one place, and I cannot even imagine the hard work that went into taking all of those and combining them into one, but somehow technology did it, and it has gone, I think, flawlessly, and I'd like to thank Nancy Toombs for that.
Yes, that was definitely,
Yeah.
definitely nice, and then she sent out an email telling us how to be able to look at them on our phone.
Your iPad, yeah.
That was slick.
Yeah.
So, that was really, really helpful. So yes, and Nancy, that was her brainchild, and then she, got some of her Christmas vacation, college kids home wanting to work, and so she put them on it, and they got it done, so, really did appreciate that. And we talked about one marvelous funding opportunity, and I wanted to give Mr. Rudolph a chance to crow about another funding opportunity.
Funding opportunity, well put.
Thank you.
I got a pledge from Mississippi Lime to pay for the honors banquet. So,
Yeah.
So that's where that's coming from.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
awesome.
And
Great.
Rick called me one morning and said, "Hey, how much does that cost?" And I said, it's been a few years, let me check it out. So I got with Chris, and right away he got back to me, and I said, Rick, it's this amount for the meal, but it's this much more for all the medals that we give out. It's not cheap. And I said, and besides, it'd be great if they do it this one year, but then next year we're right back calling everybody, and begging, like you're so aware of. And I said, so, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but we really would like it every year, And Rick's like, no. All I can do is ask, and all they can say is no, but they said yes.
we
And
didn't even have to arm wrestle or anything.
I really, so, thanks so much to Mississippi Lime for agreeing to do
Yes.
that. That puts the emphasis back on the academic success of our kids that we so much enjoy and so much want to do, so.
It was
yeah.
actually my pleasure to ask him at that event, and that's my pay that I get.
There you go.
Well, we appreciate it very much,
Yeah.
and as you well know, that's a huge load off when they're willing to step up and do that kind of thing. And it allows us to focus on some of those other things.
Yeah, so, very much want to thank them, and we'll definitely, at the time of the honors banquet, be making everybody aware of it.
Mississippi Line presents the.
Yes.
When those kids get up there and they're getting their awards, I mean, they have the whole, they have the
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah.
everybody just watching their Friday
Yeah.
about that.
It's a very nice affair, and I'm really, really glad to see that we'll be able to
I'm
do
glad
that
it worked
again.
out.
Yeah, me too, me too. Anything else, anybody? All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business, instructional program presentation, PPAT.
And Ms. Weiler, I'm sorry, did we skip something? There was no report, sorry. Ms. Weiler is the director supervisor of PAT, and her grandbaby has been in the hospital again, and so she's at home with the other grandbaby, so the parents can be with the sick one, and so, but she says, no worries, handing it to the capable hands of Ms. Joan Fleet, and so please, Joan, if you'll talk to us and be sure to introduce your lovely cohorts here.
Sure. Angie Lewis, Wendy Weiner, and Misty Oddie, helping out with the program. We've undergone some changes in the past couple of years. We are no longer working with the Born to Learn curriculum. We have a new foundational curriculum, which has been a little challenging getting up and going. It's no longer child-based, just working in with the child's development. It's more family-centered based. So it's dealing with the entire family as a unit. Okay, so we still bring in toys that are age appropriate for that child and parent to interact with us, but the emphasis is mainly taken off of us as being the main facilitator. We want the parents to be the main facilitator because they're the ones with their child 24/7, 7 days a week. Okay, so we're still in there kind of directing a little bit, making sure that things are developmentally where they need to be. But with the foundational curriculum, we really utilize or try to utilize a lot more of the, I guess, toys and maybe just the kind of things that the family typically has laying around the house. So it's not necessarily that you have to go out and buy all those fancy things and, make it work with that. You can make it work with what you have laying around. So it's really been a great asset to doing that. It's been, I think, pretty, I don't know, a little challenging, but it's still a great asset because we still can take in things, but at the same time, parents don't realize that they have all this learning, these learning tools just readily available in their closet. Okay, so in lieu of that, with the foundational curriculum, like I said, it's been a little challenging getting the new program up and running, trying to run off all the handouts that we still give to the families and the activities, the parent pages and things like that. But these girls have really pulled it together. We spent countless hours over the summer getting things entered into our computer program. So all we have to do is, just take and go is like what we did before. Getting lesson boxes together, helping each other out to do all that too. So, and then also the program is still doing our screenings in the home, massive screenings with kindergarten coming up, and then we recently participated in some daycare screenings. Last week we did that. So these girls are going to kind of break it down to daycare screenings, in-home screenings, and then also the personal visit itself, that component. So what I'd like to share with you, just because we know that the state has cut the budget 4 years ago, so it's really kind of hard to, crunch numbers and make things work. It's a constant challenge, and I don't even get on a lot of that, but, I see it from my end, and then Colleen sees it more on her end, so I know she's got a big job to do. But I really appreciate your help, and I appreciate your support in helping us to achieve what we really have to achieve out there with our families in our school district. So just kind of letting you know what we're currently serving as far as our families. We currently have 213 families that we're seeing in our county, which sounds like a lot, but not when you look at to see how many families we have out there. We're always recruiting, always asking families if they know other families that, want to participate. And graciously they give us names of families that they know, because we know there's a lot of children out there. Out of those 213 families, we have 95 of those families that meet the regular criteria, and we have 118 that meet the high need criteria. With the high need criteria, They have to fit into a certain category in order for us to see them more frequently than the 4 to 6 week schedule as what a regular family would be, okay? And then out of those 213 families, we have 303 children that we're seeing. In the P to 3 program, which is prenatal to age 3, we have 79 that fit into the regular category and 87 that fit into the high need category. And then in the 3 to K, we have 55 that fit into the regular category and 82 that fit into the high need category. And then out of those children, you'll be glad to hear this, we have 65 that will be leaving our program going into kindergarten. So that's big for us. I think that's a pretty good number. I can't really say that they all will be going to the public school. The majority, I think, will be coming to St. John and to Bloomsdale. However, we still have the private schools in our county too, Zell, St. Agnes, Ozora, and Valley. So I know that we'll be having some, dispersed to those private schools as well, but the majority will be coming to our public schools that we serve. So, any questions or comments?
You guys should be commended. When they, we were talking about this over the weekend. I don't think the legislators or any of them up there really realize how important that this program is. I mean, it starts with those kids. They were given amounts of kids that go to kindergarten that still don't know how to write their names. And then then those kids are behind already. So
Correct.
When you guys are with them and they're already starting doing this, it's just amazing on what that does for those kids.
Right. And I think one of the main focus, like on one of our foundational lessons that I've realized, we all kind of know what those skills need to be before they get into school. But one in particular that I've been really working with my families is cutting at a younger age. I'm bringing it down to age 24 months. Because when they get into the 3-year-old or 3 to K phase, they have no idea how to hold the scissors. And they're very capable of doing that at 24 months already because the foundational curriculum can say that we can do that, but parents don't really realize, I'm not giving my child a scissors.
Right.
Well, you can, it's okay to do that, just make sure it's supervised. You're not gonna let them, go in the house and take care of the, the curtains and the bedspread and your sister's hair, but yeah, supervise, so just kind of letting them be aware that, it's okay to bring it down a lot sooner. You don't have to wait until they're kindergarten ready. We have all this work to do before they get to kindergarten. Well, we start at prenatal. We're starting kindergarten screening or kindergarten readiness already at prenatal. You're talking to your baby while the baby's in utero. We know that they can hear at 24 weeks gestation. Read to your baby. They are actually, I think these ladies can probably agree, our babies that we see with parents are actually smarter than they were before. They recognize those families' voices instantly. Where 10, 15 years ago, because I've been doing this for a little while, that you can tell that they, we kind of waited till they got here to do some of that. Now we're starting way back early. So it makes a big difference, So, and I even commented to these girls and we said to commend us. I don't think there's any other person in our county that goes out and delivers services to families in the rain, snow, sleet, hail, and heat of the day other than a postal worker and us. So, because we did it when we were off for snow break, we all worked. We all drove in there. We got out there. So, to deliver those services for those families. That's how important this job and this program is, not only for me, but I think also too for these ladies as well, to deliver that service to those families. So we appreciate your support and your continued support very much.
Might add, Missouri was the first state in the United States to have this program.
Yes, we are. St. Louis is the mother state, yeah.
Arthur Mallor was the Commissioner of Education when it got started, and yet you would think it would be important enough in Jeff City to fund it the way it should be.
One would think, Mr. McDaniel, one would think.
I'll stop there.
Me too. Okay, Angie's going to go ahead and give us a little breakdown about the daycares and the screenings that we've done.
All right. This is the 3rd year we actually conducted daycare screenings. This year we were able to do 3. It all depends on who wants to participate. so we really appreciate those who do. We had 35 children we screened. We go in the morning, 6:30, whatever time they want us there. We show up, we screen the children, we go back to the office or Joan's house.
Yeah.
She's so nice to let us, if it's closer, so we don't put those miles on our car. We do all of our paperwork, all of our summaries, and then we head back out to the daycares, and that's where we spend our evenings exiting with the parents, telling them how the children do. We are hoping to get recruits. We are hoping to catch delays while we're doing this ages and stages questionnaire. We did have a few we referred, and that's what we're looking for, so we can get those kids ahead before they get into kindergarten. We had about 95% recruitment out of these daycares. So we were very happy to hear that after we found out we had 65 kids going to kindergarten. So we're thrilled, and we really have to appreciate all the daycares that are helping us and letting us do this. I mean, it's long days, but in the end, it's worth it to see all these families and then have them enter into the program, or those who've never heard about it. So it was fun. It was stressful, but fun.
And anybody can do this, right?
Yes,
Anybody?
Yes, there's and
no
it's completely free to all parents, even in the daycares when we start, free.
Well, Angie talked about the daycare screenings, and I'm going to talk more about the in-home screenings that we also do with the families. And when we do the in-home screenings, it will be the parent educator with the parent and the child. We do it from ages 3 months up to kindergarten entry. So if you're going into kindergarten, you'll be doing the screening here at St. John with us. When we do the screenings in home, we like for them to be done within the first 90 days of our visits. We do it once a year with them. So each school year, we'll do a new screening visit with them within that first 90 days. When we do them, we will do a health, we do a hearing and vision, and then we do the developmental part of the screening with them. With the developmental part, it consists of communication, gross motor, we do fine motor, and then we also do personal, social, and problem solving. When we do our scoring, we'll sit down with the family and we'll go over everything that we did with the child, where the child scored at. On the scoring system, it goes from a 0 to a 60. So we'll go over with the family. If the child's in a white area, they're developmentally where they should be. If they're in a gray area, that's an area between the parent educator and the mother and father would sit down during each visit and keep in contact with whatever the delay was. During each visit, we can kind of track them, see where they're going, seeing how the parent wants to continue working to build up that strength for that child. And then if the child falls in the gray area, we will want to, that is a sign that there's a delay for the child in one of the areas that we have talked about. And if there's a delay there, that's a time for the parent and the parent educator, we can sit down together and discuss that. We can do a referral for the family, that's once we talk to them and they feel that's the best thing for their child. If the child is a P to 3, the prenatal to 3, we would probably do the referral to the First Steps program for them. And then if the child was the 3 to K, we would do the early childhood program, which is here at school for the child. And, like I said, a lot of it, even as Joan was saying, parent, child, and with us all working together so we can come up with the best solution for the family. What they want to do together. So we can work together to get it all lined up for the family. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual home visit itself. There are 5 parts. There's the opening. In the opening, we greet the families. Let's see what's happened since the last time we've been there. Build that relationship. A relationship with us and them is very important because they are a recruitment tool for us. If we have a good relationship with the family, they'll help us find more families and recommend our program. Then there's the parent-child interaction, the activity that we bring in. It's age appropriate for them. We have the prenatal visits, the births of 1.5 months, 1.5 to 3.5, 3.5 to 5.5, and so on. So the activity is for their age and it's appropriate for them. There's the developmental centered parenting, and that's what we talk about. What is your child doing? What's new? What have you seen progress in? What is something that what is a goal you would like to set for your child that we can work on? And we'll connect the behaviors to the development. family well-being is the fourth part of the visit. We talk about nutrition, safety, sleep, anything that they may have questions on. We'll help them find resources in the community. And then the closing, we recap the visit and talk about all the key points, what was important. We ask them what they would like to do next time, and we always ask for their input to see what they want us to bring in, and ask if they have questions. And that's really our visit. And then we also do a report. Did you want me to talk about the report? Did you? Yeah. After we leave the visit, our work isn't done. We do a report, and we look for the milestones they've reached for language development, intellectual, social, emotional, and motor skills. That's what we do.
Thank you, ladies.
And that's all before they come to school.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you guys a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next, we have student transportation services agreement.
Yes, been working with Mr. Mall, who is the owner of Fowler Bus and Meyer Bus down in Perryville. And this is the contract that we have come up with and feel like is good for us. A few things I want to point out that are changes from the contract of the last two contracts, actually. I've looked at those both. And if you look at page 2, the next to the last paragraph, it talks about the base fuel price. For the last 6 years, and I really don't know how much before that, but for the last 6 years, the base fuel price was $2.75. And that's important because the original contract states that anything below that, if they can buy fuel cheaper than that, they will refund to us the difference between $2.75 and the lower rate. And if it's higher than that, we pay the difference between $2.75 and the higher rate. Well, if you think back, if you happen to drive a diesel, because that's the fuel we're talking about, in the last 6 years, if you could buy it at $2.75, you were ecstatic. It just didn't happen, and typically it's been well over $3 in the last 6 years. So last year it cost us about $40,000 to pay up the difference in the fuel. So that $3.35 a gallon is a huge savings for us because that's pretty regularly the price that you see. It'll be anywhere from $3.25 to $3.35 most of the time. Now, there was another little change here in that there is no refund or kickback to us if it's less than $3.35. I went ahead and gave on that because $3.35 is a good price for us for base fuel. Okay, we'll have a lot less overage pay that we're going to have to do per month. Moving on to page 3, there is under routes and schedules, the second paragraph stipulates, and this is new, that the emergency and snow bus routes over which the school buses travel shall be provided to the district no later than October 1 for its approval, and that they will work with us on finalizing what those routes are. So there it is, in black and white, finally. And then the next thing that I want to point out to you is on page 6, under the insurance. We used to carry, we asked them to carry $2 million insurance on their vehicles, and that's for the combined single limit for each occurrence. We asked for $2 million plus an additional $1 million rider or umbrella policy. We paid for the umbrella policy, so that was a cost to us, and we split on we split the difference on the umbrella policy, and they paid for the insurance. Brad has sought out and found insurance, and he's gone up to $5 million for combined single limit for each occurrence. So we dropped the umbrella, and that's all at his cost. We're not paying any of the insurance. And then the only other change really comes in the very last page, Exhibit A. And that shows you kind of a breakdown, a chart of what our charges will be for the next 3 years. And really what this represents is going back to the beginning of our current contract. Essentially, this 3-year contract is a do-over of our last 3-year contract. So the first year is actually about a 4% reduction from where we are right now. And the 2016-17 columns represent where we are in this current school year for prices of regular routes. And so it gives a breakdown. So this is quite a savings for us. $40,000 on fuel alone, I feel like would be a close savings. And then a little over a 4% savings the first year on just our regular routes. So very, very pleased with this contract. And I think Brad probably thinks I'm not a very nice negotiator. But anyway, I really appreciated his working with us. I explained to him that our enrollment is going down, thus our funding from the state on ADA is decreasing. His ridership has decreased by a similar amount. We looked at what it had cost us per child over our last few years, and 6 years ago it was just over $700 per child. This year it was over $900 per child. And we have paid more every year. Our costs have gone up every year, and our ridership has gone down every year. So in presenting that to Brad, he was very reasonable, and I appreciated that he listened. And when I said that we needed a cut, not only were we not able to do an increase, but we needed to have a cut here. And so I appreciated that. I did talk with another bus company, and so if there's ever a day when we want to look outside our own community, there are interested parties out there that I think would not be. In the past, we've been very concerned about that because there was fear that some company out of St. Louis would come in and lowball and undercut, and we'd destroy our local contractor, and then a year or two later they'd turn around and be gouging us, you know. So we were hesitant to work with anybody other than Fowler. I want to work with Fowler. They're local, their taxes are paid here in our community, and so I think it's appropriate that we negotiate that contract with them. But if there ever comes such a time that we feel the need to do differently, I do feel like there's at least one other contractor that would be a long-term contractor and would be fair with us. So that's always good to know. Keeps everybody honest to have a little healthy competition. So, but I do recommend that we approve this contract, and feel like that we've done this is very fair to the district.
Plus, too, we're not getting reimbursed by the state like we should.
No, we're, you know,
It's
we
costing
get,
us dearly out of our pocket.
right, we get maybe, what did we come, 25% or something like that of the costs at this point.
It
So,
should be, what, 74%?
Should be 75%.
Right.
So we have to kick in.
ever, long time. But anyway, so this, and you know, honestly, this may help us on our reimbursement. It will probably allow our efficiency factor to increase a little bit. So being able to pay less for service. So anyway, I do recommend that we approve this.
Move to approve the student transportation services agreement contract beginning July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2017, as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to new business, and it's the proposed calendar for 2014-15 review.
Yes, and I just managed to close my book and so hang on just 1 second. There we go. Okay. Because everything needs a starting place, the calendar process, we generally start with just corresponding dates for next year. So that's what you have before you. I've already spoken with our principals, and they've checked with their calendar committee person and trying to make sure that we still have reps from all the buildings. I've spoken with our ESP representative, our SGNEA representative, and our MSTA representative, and they're all set. And so everybody's aware that this will be simply a starting place, and we put it out there and let people make comments. Althea's got this ready to go up on Moodle for the district, and Nancy will have it ready so that the ability is there for them to make comments, as we did last year. And so we'll get that out first thing tomorrow and see what people have to say about it, and take it from there. And we'll leave. We usually post out there for about 2 weeks and collect comments. And then sometime probably the first week or so of February, we'll get together and with the calendar committee and try to come up with something for the February board meeting for next year. So as you can see, this one calls for a blackout period starting July 26th through August 3rd. Some changes in MSHA regulations have necessitated a little bit of change in that. So this, Jeff Nix says this will work as a blackout date. And then the first day of school would fall on August the 15th. And we have our open houses are listed in here, and our regular holidays, and as I said, pretty much everything just corresponding dates to the way it was this year. So there's no need for you all to vote on that. That's just to get the process started to get it out there. Okay.
The reason for starting early, is that to get the grades and stuff in by December, the first semester?
We do like to try to have equal amount of days for the 2 semesters as much as possible for high school classes, especially those that, like personal finance, that's, it's a semester-long class, and if you have one that's really, really short and one that's really long, it really throws off those. So we try to start early enough that we have a similar number of days. It's not always exactly equivalent, and you can see on here that it comes up to 86 and 88 on first and second semester. The quarters are not quite so important, how many days are in a particular quarter, but the total semester is a little. So anyway, this is our starting point for the year.
We'll move on to the CSIP.
I'll turn that over to Dr. Lindsay, who has done a phenomenal amount of work on this project.
Before we get into the CSIP, or Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, I want to first say congratulations to all the staff and students that we heard the wonderful accolades about earlier tonight, and also commend the building administration for their leadership in making a lot of those things happen, because it doesn't happen without some of that guidance from the top, guidance and leadership. So appreciate that. The Comprehensive School Improvement Plan is really our strategic planning document for the district. It's reviewed annually by a committee made up of faculty and staff, parents, students, community members, the administration, and also board members. This year, Mr. Bova and Mr. Crowther were kind enough to serve on that committee. We met back on January 9th, which was during some of that snow period. I think people were just glad to get out of the house and come to the committee meeting. We had, I think, close to 35 people that were here for the review of the CSIP plan. Normally, kind of the usual process for reviewing the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan is to take the previous year's plan and go in and tweak it, make a few changes to it to update the data, some things that maybe are outdated a little bit, remove, and maybe put in a few new things. This year was very different. The reason it was very different is because we had to do a major rewrite of goal number 1 because of the new requirements and guidance that's given to us by DESE through MSIP 5 and the new APR that we had. Of course, 2013 was the first year for the new APR. In 2 years from now, it will be used to determine our accreditation status. So really the CSIP plan helps provide the blueprint, so to speak, for scoring well on that annual performance report each year as it comes out. So we went through the plan. One of the things that we did is sat down with the building administration, spent a lot of time, especially in goal 1, and I'll talk a little bit more about what the goals are, and talked about how do we take the new APR and make that fit within the first goal of the CSIP plan. The first goal in general has to do with student achievement and academic kind of thing, student performance. One of the things that was very clear is that we wanted our targets to be set at status targets. And what that means is that in the APR, there's 2 or 3 different ways that you can get your points, you get your performance. One of the ways is through status. In other words, it's where your students score. The other 2 ways have to do with improvement over time. And we really felt like that based on the long tradition of high expectations and high standards that we have here at St. Gen, that we wanted our targets to be those status numbers, not improvement numbers. Okay? One thing to note with that, though, is that the status targets that are in the APR are based on the performance that our state would like to see us, the level that they would like to see us perform at in the year 2020. So their targets that they have in place are projected performance targets for the year 2020. One thing I would like to note is that we're already at those levels in many areas. So if you combine the performance that we have with respect to the status targets, and then you combine the improvement, again, our kind of the thing we're shooting for is to get 90% of the points on the APR. And just as a reminder, this most recent APR, we were at 93.2. So our performance has been very, very good. So I wanted to point that out. As far as the plan itself, kind of the organization, there's 4 major goals. Those are dictated to us by DESE. We don't have any options in choosing those goals. Under each goal are objectives, which since they are objectives, they're measurable, so there's data that goes with those. The 4 major goals, in general, the first one is student performance. That's the largest goal. The next one is highly qualified staff. The third goal is facilities, support, and instructional resources. And then the final goal is parent and community involvement. And so once the committee came in, we met as a group and kind of went over some general things, and then we split into some subcommittees that looked at each of those goals. Okay? I mentioned that there were 4 goals. Under each goal are objectives, and then under each objective are strategies and action steps to help meet those objectives. So we went through all that. The major changes, first of all, goal 1 is now directly linked to the APR. In more particular, it's directly linked to the APR 2020 status targets, which we felt was important. Goal 1 is also now organized into different categories. It was not done that way in the past, but it seemed to fit. So we have different categories like professional learning, community process, curriculum, technology, those kinds of things. Another thing that is a major change is that all the goals, the objectives, the strategies are linked now to all the new standards that are part of the MSIP 5 process. So, for example, if you're going to look at page 1, Objective 1, the district will meet the academic achievement and subgroup achievement status measures on the annual performance report at the 2020 target level in all subject areas. Just under that, you can see where it says MSIP standard, and it says 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Okay, so those, every objective, every goal, and every strategy is directly linked to the resource, process, and performance standards that we're held accountable for through the MSIP process. Okay. Some progress measures were changed to kind of reflect the current needs, and some data that we had been using in the past, we don't collect that data anymore, or it's not required to be collected, so we talked about looking at some different measures. Those were put in place. Of course, all the data was updated to the most current. The format, the actual look of the plan, it used to be dictated to us that the plan looked a certain way. Now we have a little bit more freedom. So a little bit of a format change to make it more readable. The goals are in a larger font. The objectives are shaded so you can find them. Those kinds of things. Of particular interest to you, there were 3 things that I wanted to point out, and then if you have questions, we can go through that. On page 7, this is still under Goal 1, Strategy 17. It says the district will develop a student transition plan for elementary to middle school, from middle school to high school students. That was something that you all had discussed and felt was important for us to do. So that is now part of the CSIP plan. If you'll flip over to page 16. Page 16, Strategy 7, still under Goal 1. This is Objective 6. But this strategy says that the district will research the feasibility, benefits, the cost, and funding sources of a quality preschool program. That was something else that was seen as a priority. Is now part of the CSIP plan, and we'll move forward with that and see what you all do tonight. And the third thing that I wanted to point out is on page 23. That would be under goal number 3, which has to do with providing and maintaining appropriate resources, support services, and functional and safe facilities. Strategy 1 was to begin the facility needs assessment process to prepare for the next no vaccine responders. So that was another thing that we discussed. And again, that's a part of the comprehensive plan. So at this point, if you have questions, again, I want to thank Mr. Boga and Mr. Crowther for their participation in the committee, and all the building administrators who really put a lot more time in on this ahead of the committee meeting because of the change in format and the needed changes based on the CSIP.
Thank you, Administrator, too. I know I said it on Objective 1, and besides the things that you've mentioned, I know some of these are out in the future, but I know we talked about student electronic portfolios and online curriculum and things like that out there in the future make a great district greater, for lack of a better term.
And that's really part of the reason. You hear the name Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. It almost makes it sound like you have these areas where you are in major need of improvement. But our goal is constant improvement. Even if we're performing at a high level, we want to continue to perform at that high level and get even better. So make a great district, great school, even great.
It's an ongoing process.
It is an ongoing process.
31 favors of work your votes.
Oh, yeah.
My hat's off to you all.
Once it's approved, you all will remove the draft across here, and then it'll be posted on the district website.
You approve adding the revisions to the CSIP plan as presented.
Have a motion in a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move that the Board of Education hold a closed meeting with closed record and closed vote following the regular open meeting on February 17, 2014, to be held in the R.W. Thomas Library, 715 Washington Street, St. Louis, Missouri, for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business: legal action, cause of action, or litigation; lease, purchase, or sale of real estate; hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees; scholastic probation, expulsion, or graduation of identifiable individuals; testing and examination materials; preparation or negotiation with employee groups; specifications of competitive bidding until approved or published; sealed bids and related documents until the bids are open; sealed proposals and related documents until all proposals are rejected, or any documents related to a negotiated contract until the contract is executed; individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment; records protected from disclosure by law; records relating to municipal hotlines established for the reporting of abuse and wrongdoing; confidential or privileged communication with an auditor; existing or proposed security systems and structural plans of district property; records that identify and will not allow unauthorized access to or unlawful disruption of the configuration of components of the operation of a computer system, computer network, or telecommunications network; credit card numbers, personal identification numbers, legal certificates, physical and virtual keys, access codes, or authorization codes are used to protect electronic transactions. I further move that notice of this meeting is intended for the agenda be posted as required by law. And a motion and a second. Roll call, Eric Bosler.
Yes.
David Goldberg.
Yes.
Charlie Travers.
Yes.
Tony